your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Morning Drive, I think Thursday or Friday, I think I said that the scoreboard wouldn't be a Christmas card. Damn, it sure almost was. Man, the wrong way. The wrong way, in a big time way. Still was not, still ugly, but I mean, it's a win. That's, I guess, really all you can take away from that. You can take some good things away from it, but it's a win. From the other games in the Big 12, I'm guessing the only thing that maybe really surprised you was the way that UNLV took down Houston, but maybe not. UNLV won 27-7 over the Cougars.
Yeah, I picked Houston to win that game. I felt like it would be pretty much a toss-up, so I guess I would say I'm not shocked by that score. But again, thought Houston, especially at home, would be better than that.
Sure. Maybe to a degree, Arizona State beating Wyoming. I'm not sure what Wyoming has back from last year, but just, we kind of consider Arizona State bottom of the barrel, so to speak, or a team that might contend for that, and they put 48 points up on
They
them.
might have a new team that takes that spot. Yeah, I didn't think Wyoming was going to be as good. They were playing at home. I think it was 6 point. The line was 6 for Arizona State. So, knowing that, it didn't surprise me, I guess.
And then BYU more than took care of business against Southern Illinois. They won 41-13. So, like I said, I mean, for the most part, maybe the big surprise of, and I'm not sure the dynamics of this game. But, number 21 Arizona did put 61 up on New Mexico, but they gave up 39.
Yeah, it was like a 20. It seems like it was like a 7-point game into the third quarter, so it was a little bit closer. I would tell you, I mean, the biggest surprise, I mean, it has to be Texas Tech.
Yes.
I mean, a nail biter against Abilene Christian.
Yes.
I mean, that has to be the worst performance in the Big 12 on Saturday.
No question.
Yeah, I know Houston lost.
Yeah.
Okay, to a team that's not spectacular or anything like that, but your other loss was to a top 10 team. Yeah, I mean, if we were ranking right now 1 through 16 the performances in the Big 12 this weekend,
no question.
You were 25.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Should have lost that ball game Saturday night. Should have lost it. I mean, Abilene Christian, they had a chance to kind of put you away because in regulation had a chance to score down there, and then they're lined up for a 2-point conversion with a chance to win. What did you think? Well,
I mean, but then couldn't you say, well, you should have scored 7 at the other end to be up 7?
Well, sure.
Okay, well then you could say, well, you should have won, not you should have lost. You could say that either way.
I guess right.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have a stupid false start penalty,
right? Okay,
you put up 7, and we shouldn't have let them drive down the field and score. So we should have won.
I understand that, but
you could have lost.
As I sat there, I had zero to no confidence that you were going to stop them on that last drive. As soon as that field goal was scored, I'm like, man, you're going to lose this ball game because you can't stop them. You cannot stop them.
I got to the point where it was like every time we saw them hand the ball off, I was like, yes, keep running it. Because, I mean, you might get 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, but you weren't going to kill us deep.
Right.
Yeah, just keep running it because we can't defend the pass. We have a shot stopping the run.
Yeah.
I guess their game plan was you got to keep them honest.
I guess, but I mean...
But we never came close to stopping their passing game.
What? So if you're an Abilene Christian fan, are you happy with Keith Patterson for going for 2 there in the over?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Me too. Although there some would say, well, I mean, the way that they were playing, the way that you were playing, keep extending the ball game. But I felt like if you're Abilene Christian and you got a chance to win the ball game, and go do it.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
I was almost a little surprised they didn't go for it on fourth down there, but I guess that there was a part of me that thought that they might do it there.
Yeah, I wondered. I thought it was the right play to kick it, but just because you had so much momentum right at that point, don't put it all on one play at that point. Heading towards overtime, it felt like it was ACU's game to win.
Yeah, because I mean, if you get a stop or God forbid a turnover, if you're ACU, then you're set up right there to run a couple plays, kick a field goal, and get on the bus and go home. And that was what happened there. Was obviously very unfortunate, and sounds like you're lucky. Although the bus driver, it sounds like they took 4 to the hospital. 2 are going to get out today, apparently, and 2 were released. But Keith Patterson was among those injured on Saturday night, plus a player, plus another coach, plus the bus driver, who they thought had broken ribs, but apparently did not. But fortunate that wasn't worse than what it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was still horrific and terrible. When I left the Overton about 12:45, and I couldn't turn around. I'm like, what in the world's going on down there? I'm like, must be an accident. And I had no idea that it was the Abilene Christian bus until I got home and started seeing that. Bullfighter brings up a great point, and this is something that Rob Bro brought up Saturday night on the Double T 97.3 Coors Light postgame show. But clock management in the fourth quarter wasn't great either.
Yeah, the last drive. I mean,
yeah.
You're taking snaps with 18 and 22 and 22nd and 16 left on the clock, and you're going on this drive that you're trying to, hey, we want to get points, but we want to take as much time off the clock as possible, and you're just taking snaps way too early. I don't know how that happens with this technology we now have where we have a coach over there talking in Baron Morton's ear. How is that going on? How is somebody not telling him, no, wait? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's mind-boggling.
I'll be honest with you. I wasn't paying attention to that in the stands. Sometimes when you're, sitting in the stands, you got so many distractions around you that you kind of lose focus on that. So until Rob brought that up, I didn't realize that it was that bad. But then looking at it, I'm like, yeah, that's not good, Bob, as they say.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
We've turned the calendar. It's September now. Today's the 3rd day of 2024, September 3rd. Here's Jeff McGuire.
Going to start in 1935. Excuse me. First automobile to exceed 300 miles per hour. Malcolm Campbell powers his Bluebird to 301.129 miles per hour at the Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah.
Nice.
A record quickly broken by Chuck Heinz's Pinewood Derby car.
Yeah.
1966, Houston Oilers hold Denver Broncos to no first downs in their NFL season opening 45-7 win at Rice Stadium.
Wow.
I want to know how they got a touchdown with no first downs.
Maybe a pick six.
Don't know. But I'm more curious about that. 1985, New York Met catcher Gary Carter smashes 3 consecutive home runs in an 8-3 win over the San Diego Padres at Jack Murphy Stadium. 1990, White Sox closer Bobby Thigpen tops Dave Righetti's Major League Baseball record with his 47th save in the White Sox 4-2 win over the Royals. Thigpen would finish the season with 57 saves. And in 2022, Donovan Smith comes off the bench to throw 4 touchdown passes. Taj Brooks runs for 3 scores, and the Texas Tech Blue passed lower division Murray State 63-10 in Coach Joey McGuire's debut.
That was
2022.
That was good.
Happy National Welsh Rarebit Day.
Welsh Rabbit Day?
Rarebit. Rare, R-A-R-E-B-I-T. It's a hot cheese sauce, often including an ale and mustard and Worcestershire sauce served over toast.
Yeah, no thank you.
It's a cheese sauce over bread. I'm not turning it down at first.
Jamie?
I'm going to try it.
Questionable.
Probably because of the ale, right? The beer flavor and the cheese, if I had to guess for Jamie.
Sure.
Happy birthday, Charlie Sheen, 59. Sean White, the snowboarder, is 38. And kicker Mason Crosby is 40. And on this day in 1783, American Revolution officially comes to an end with the representation from the United States, Great Britain, Spain, and France signed the Treaty of Paris. The signing signified America's status as a free nation, as British formally recognizes the independence of the 13 former American colonies, and the boundaries of the new republic were agreed upon. Florida is north of Florida to the Great Lakes, and the Atlantic coast to the Mississippi River. And that is this day in sports history.
I have the answer to your question of how they scored. After a George Blanda to Bob McLeod pass for 25 yards, the Oilers then kicked off. A Gary Kroner kick was fielded by Goldie Sellers at the 12-yard line. I remember this player. And he took it 88 yards for the score. So it was a kick return. Mm-hmm. Okay, how about that? There you go. That's this day in sports history, 6:48. Juan says this, and Juan's a frequent contributor to the Morning Drive. Happy birthday to my lucky lady, Amanda. Well, happy birthday, Amanda. Hope you're tuned in this morning. Here's some sarcasm this morning from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Is this still the toughest, most competitive, hardest working team in the country? I don't know. I guess that's to be determined. Somebody else had this question. Derek says beer and cheese ? Sounds great. I'm just not into cheese except on pizza. They asked about reevaluating your prediction, and that was on my list today to do that. Does Saturday?
That was going to be the Jamie's question of the day today.
Okay, well then we'll save it. We'll save it for Jamie's question of the day. That'll be at 7:25.
Well, I've got plenty that I can go to.
No. We'll save it. That's a good question. That's a really good question. Micah Hudson didn't come here to ride the bench. I hope he has success somewhere else next year. I don't know that he's going to transfer just because he didn't play in the first game.
That's kind of the stance we're getting from a bunch of people on the chat line, and going back to Saturday's game. I don't know what are you suggesting here? I mean, were our wide receivers bad?
No.
Our wide receivers were great. Okay, so are you suggesting that Joey McGuire plays Micah Hudson because he's getting paid more than everybody else, even though the rest of them have won their jobs and are now performing when the lights come on, but we should take them out and put Micah Hudson in because we paid more to get Micah Hudson? I mean, what exactly are you suggesting, Texter? I mean, what do you want Joey McGuire to do there?
Yeah, I mean, and he was asked that question after the game, and
you want him to play players who aren't as good because they got a bigger NIL deal? I mean, what's your point? I mean, if he can't get on the field and he decides to transfer, well, we didn't need him. We couldn't get him on the field.
Right.
Okay, first off, it's just one game. Mm-hmm. And I'm, with everybody else, as shocked as everybody else that he wasn't out there. I mean, he's a wide receiver. You play a bunch of those guys. But a bunch of those guys had big games. What do you expect him to do?
And they were making big catches, too. I mean, it was...
What do you want Joey McGuire and Zach Kittley to do?
Can we teach him to play defensive back?
That I like. That's an idea. This is valuable information. Can he play DB?
One of the things that Coach McGuire said last Saturday night after the game was that he said repeatedly as the game was going on to his coaches and anybody that was on a headset, make sure you have your best guys in there because there was no reason to take out any of those wide receivers. And they were getting the ball, they were catching the ball, they were blocking downfield. I mean, Josh Kelly was really, really special. And
I just am so confused. If you want to blame somebody for Micah Hudson not getting on the field,
maybe it's him.
It's the defense. because the defense didn't ever let you create separation where you could say, let's go to some of the other guys. Yeah. Let's take our best players off the field and get some other guys experience. He didn't play because your defense stunk. Because you couldn't ever get a big lead and say, let's get some other guys in here. Let's use our backup quarterback. Yeah. Let's use our backup wide receivers. Let's give Cam Valdez some carries. Couldn't do that because your defense couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
It's not about the other wide receivers. It's not about the coaches. It's about the defense. That's why he didn't play.
You could never have any kind of separation.
And if he was better than those other wide receivers, he would have played. Those guys were great. Mm-hmm. So are we in the boat now? Like, we got to play that guy because we pay him the most.
No, we're not in that boat.
I surely am not.
Yeah, somebody says, don't forget Hudson missed the entire offseason, too.
I mean, we just saw that over and over on Saturday night on the chat line, and then we're seeing it again today. What is your point? Mm-hmm. What do you want them to do? Do you want, when we sign them to a huge NIL deal, to guarantee that they start? Is that what we should do? No. Do we not want the players on the field that are performing? Isn't that what we want?
Yes. I mean,
I'm just so confused by this point.
I mean, you didn't see Will Hammond play. You didn't see. You saw. Cam Brown play. I think he got one rush in the ball game. Man. Yeah, it was not, like I said, they had to play the guys they did, and I think your point is great. The defense didn't allow them to play anybody other than your ones and twos.
Yeah, that's what it boiled down to. Yeah. You had to play the players that were performing and give you the best chance to win. I'm sorry that our superstar freshman, who's getting paid nearly $1 million, didn't get on the field, but I'm glad we won.
Yeah. To play him some, give him a chance, Jamie. No, yeah. Hopefully you can get out to a 40-0 lead against Washington State, and you can put him on the field and let him play some.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Thank you for being with us today. A lot of just let it all out today because you didn't have a chance to yesterday. So hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app presented by Happy State Bank, and hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We did get this. Good morning, gentlemen. It was great to be back in Lubbock to see the beautiful stadium, and most importantly, to shake hands with Chuck. Oh, glad we got to shake hands. I did shake some hands with some people. This was pretty funny. Change of pace here. ... My wife excitedly suggested making taco soup this week while we were at the grocery store yesterday. I reluctantly agreed, so as we were grabbing ingredients, I stupidly popped off. It's still a little hot outside for taco soup, right? Long story short, I learned a lesson, and now I know what Chuck was talking about.
I feel like you can disagree with me if you want. I feel like he knew the response he was going to get, and he kind of wanted it just so he could tell us on the show. Like it all played just according to plan for him.
Maybe so.
He knew what he was going to get when he said that.
At least he waited, and at least he did it before she made it, Mm-hmm. At least he made it. Kind of got that in the grocery store. She couldn't kind of pop off too bad. Let's see here. I guess Chuck doesn't sound so crazy now with saying Abilene Christian was going to score 28, but I said 29 is what I said. But I said
you are absolutely right, Chuck. And I text Chuck when they had 21, and I go, I don't think 29 is going to be enough.
No. I thought it was going to be in garbage time, to be quite honest. I didn't think it was going to be quite like this by any stretch of the imagination.
I'm blown away. I was blown away, and it was just the ease that they did it with on offense, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I was in shock, and I am a guy that believes first games of the season are always a little crazy. Mm-hmm. I am a guy that believes that you sometimes good teams just play really poorly, and it's not really who they are. But I guess I was super concerned with the fact that it just looked so easy for them, for their receivers to get open.
They almost had more completions than we did attempts.
Well, some of that was that, I mean, you had long kickoff returns,
Sure.
And then you had a fumble. So you had 3 short drives.
Sure.
Okay. That helped them win the yardage game and all the above. I just, and here's what had, it just, like, can you say to yourself, I can see this defensive backfield being way better than they were the other night, or I can see us getting a lot more pressure on the quarterback than we did the other night. And right now, I can't say that I can say that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I'm not telling you. I don't think they have the potential to get better, and because I do think they have the potential to get better and will get better. We also know that the level of competition is going to be way higher. I mean, was this a situation where we didn't take them serious? Was there too much distraction and hype surrounding the new South End Zone and the excitement and all the above? And I wouldn't say that our offense wasn't ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay? Our defense just wasn't ready to go. And I don't know if I don't know where. Sometimes it's hard to gauge your own feelings of what you think. And is this just overreaction, or is this legit? Whatever. Trying to figure out exactly what your eyes saw. I'll just say this. The part that really made me walk out of there Saturday night, the most disappointed was, it's the first time that I felt like I questioned the staff and saying, is this the right staff? Is this the staff that's going to get it done? I think I've always been, and I'm not saying I've jumped off the bandwagon of Joey McGuire and this staff, but I think I've always felt like, okay, we're going in the right direction. We're going in the right direction. Maybe not as fast as some people, but we're going in the right direction. We're seeing good things, all the above. And after Saturday night, I'm like, is this staff going to get it done? I now am questioning.
All of those thoughts are 100% fair. And everybody that's feeling that way, you have a million reasons to feel that direction. But on the flip side of that, we've all watched a lot of those Texas Tech football games where you played like that and lost. You won the game, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't something that we're going to write down and say this is the greatest moment of our lives. But it's also, we've seen opportunities where you blew this game.
Tell me when you did that to an FCS opponent, Jeff. Tell me when you did that when you were favored by 31.
Because you could say against Houston Baptist / Christian, you did that but won. You could say that you did that against Sam Houston State, but you did that and won. Yeah, you've not done that and lost.
In my opinion, I've only been a Texas Tech fan since 1995. I'm not going to tell you I know all the history of the school. Okay?
And neither am I.
Okay? That would have been the worst loss maybe in your program's history.
Yeah. Even more so than the 2 to North Texas.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the worst loss in the history of the 100 years of us playing football.
Yeah.
Again, you were favored by 31. They don't play in the same division that you do of college football.
No.
And I don't disagree with that. But it's also every fan that thought, like Chuck did, when Abilene Christian was going down the field and said to themselves, we're going to lose this football game. And Chuck wasn't the only one. There were a bunch of them at the Overton. There were a bunch of them in the stands. There were a bunch of them across the street. Every single one of them had the same thought, that we're going to lose this football game. And you didn't. The reason you thought you were going to lose this football game is because we have seen them lose this type of game before. And maybe, I am trying to pull a silver lining out of a dog turd. And that is a fair statement if you want to throw that at me.
I mean, even Joey McGuire said we played like dog crap yesterday.
I'm trying to pull that silver lining out because I do think you're still heading in the right direction. I do think that there were some guys that were not ready for prime time on Saturday night that have a week to get better, and I think they can get better because we've seen the recruiting going up. And
Yeah, but the problem, Jeff, was it wasn't a bunch of young guys.
Your defensive backs were young.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there were veterans back there, too.
Here's something that...
I will say this. One thing that I've not heard, when I said earlier, like the excuses I can't take, I haven't heard excuses from Coach DeRuiter. I haven't heard excuses from Coach McGuire.
Here's the only thing.
They both seem disgusted.
Here's the thing that...
The excuses that I've heard are from fans.
Here's something that Coach DeRuiter said yesterday, and you might think this is an excuse, but he's not letting it be an excuse. He said the young guys got rattled. He goes, we got to do a better job with that. He said it's different with 60,000 people there, but you can't worry about the environment and the adrenaline rush. He said they fell back into bad habits with eyes, etc., all those things. But, again, didn't make that as an excuse. The one thing that they did bring up, both he and Coach McGuire, which kind of sounds like a bit of an excuse, is the loss of Braylon Lux. And the reason I bring that up is because we talked so much and heard so much about depth on defense. But they both talked about how losing Braylon Lux changed the rotation so much for the defensive backs. But still, one player shouldn't make that much of a difference, I wouldn't think.
It just looked like they were never in the right spot lined up. They looked like they were confused.
Absolutely. Communication
was not good.
No doubt.
I mean, they just looked confused.
I mean, yesterday, and Jeff's been to a lot of these as well, that was as ticked off and mad still after a game as I've seen Joey McGuire for a Monday after a Saturday game. Usually those guys have flushed it, but it's still right there for them and should be. 7:25, Jamie's question of the day is next.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, guys. I think we've already kind of touched on this a little bit of where we're going to go here.
Mm-hmm.
And just it's a pretty simple one. I think all three of us predicted 8-4 heading into the season.
No, I did 9.
You were 9-3.
9-3.
9-3. Jeff and I were at 8-4. How has that changed? What is your prediction now? What do you, after one game, how much of just instant analysis and change after one tough win? By the way, win.
Yes. I'm gonna add 2 losses to my mix. I'm gonna take you down to 7-5. I'm gonna take a loss at Washington State, and then I'm gonna add a road loss. I had losses at Iowa State and Oklahoma State. I think probably
Arizona.
Yeah, and I had lost to Arizona too. I'm sorry. So
I thought you were looking for other loss.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, I think I don't know. I'm just going to say I think you're going to stand pat at 7-5.
That if you were standing pat, you would stay at 9-3.
Based on the last 2 years, the last 2 years were 7-5. I had elevated you to 9-3, but I'm going to move it down to 7-5 this year again.
The thing that concerns me about my 8-4 pick, and I'm staying at 8-4 right now, and I know that sounds insane.
I don't think so, Jeff.
The Taj Brooks concern has me a little worried. I'm staying at 8-4, but if we find out that he's going to miss significant time later this week or next week, whenever that injury release comes out, that is what will affect my 8-4 more than what we saw on Saturday. I'm really in the camp that Saturday was the anomaly because we haven't seen them play like that before.
I'm concerned about the additional injury to Joseph Adedire and what that does to your ability to put pressure on the quarterback.
Remember, Adedire was not a starter this week.
Well, I know here's the deal: was he listed on the depth chart? Because it sounds like that knee injury's been going on. It was for a longer period of time than just last week.
Okay.
So I'm not sure when the knee injury occurred, but it was during fall camp. So I don't know if that was the reason why he was put where he was put on the depth chart. but I'd seen some smoke on that a little bit from various message boards that he could be out for the rest of the year. But then when it was announced yesterday, I'm like, oh man, that's a loss, especially after the loss of Dylan Spencer, and then you got another one who's on the questionable list.
Okay, so heading in, I was at 8-4.
Yeah.
I'm extremely nervous about this weekend, so I'm going to put that one into the lost category. Other games that I picked as wins that I'm now scared about. Definitely the last one of the regular season against West Virginia. Not that they looked awesome this weekend, but I'm nervous there. And Colorado is crazy talented on the offensive side of the ball with Sanders and his wide receivers. That one makes me that could be a 84-82 game. Okay, it looks that way at this point. Their defense looks pretty bad as well. Although they gave up way less than you did to a way more talented team than you played, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say 2 more losses, so I guess I'm at 6-6 right now.
So you and I have come down with 2 additional losses, and Jeff's standing pat. Because on March the 29th, I was at 9-3, Jamie was 8-4, Jeff was 8-4. July the 29th, on August the 26th, I was 9-3, Jamie 8-4, Jeff 8-4. But
although, I will sit here and tell you right now, if you play as well the rest of the season as you played Saturday night, you will be 1-11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it was not, and I think you're fair in the concerns that you have with the teams moving forward. The thing about the West Virginia deal from Saturday was they gave up big plays, and that play, they couldn't score when they needed to. They were getting 3s instead of 7s, at least in the first half from what I saw. And then they kick a field goal towards the end of the first half, like with under a minute to play, and then they give up a big pass play and then a touchdown. Boom, boom.
Who are we talking about?
West Virginia.
West Virginia, okay.
And so it was, it looked like it was going to be a bit of a game going into half, and then they had the long delay because of weather. And then Penn State just kind of took care of business in the second half.
There's this fine line of accepting, week 1 can be crazy, and there's so much to learn after week 1, and you hear coaches talk about getting better after that week 1, and just the fact that good teams have bad days, and so I still hold out hope that there is that you can be the team that we hoped or thought you were going to be, which was depending on who you are, 7, 8, 9 win season for the Red Raiders. I mean, again, you did win. We're not taking a win off the board that you had there.
Right.
But man, you have to show some significant improvement on defense. And I do have a lot of faith in Tim DeRuyter. He's done a great job.
No question.
Well, while he's been here. And this is probably not the first game he's had as a DC in all of his years where his team looked pathetic. And I'm sure he's, figured things out and they've gotten much better. And so I'm still hoping that's the case, that we will see a big-time improvement from the defense. I hope we're having the same conversation next week. However, we've switched back.
Yeah, right.
Who knows?
Right. You're allowed to improve, right?
Yes.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. It's great to have you with us today on the Morning Drive. We come to you from the First United Bank studio. Yates Flooring Center chat line is open. Visual Edge IT hotline is open. And Want to hear what is going through your brain this morning. We get this from the Yates Flooring Center chat line, Jamie. The reason the game is being talked about so much is you were 3 yards away from having your worst loss in program history. 35-point favorites. It's jarring. Yes.
Come on, it was only 31-point favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair.
On defense, we just looked totally unprepared. Do you think the new communication system, along with some players starting for the first time, had a lot to do with that? Maybe we should go back to signals as a backup plan. They were still signaling. I don't think the new communication system where the defensive coordinator's talking to one player is the reason for your lack of communication.
Looked like they were having a hard time getting lined up. I mean, just they were adjusting before the snap, and just it didn't feel like they were always ready for the snap. And I don't know. First game, hopefully you can get a whole bunch of things figured out, because I think just being right place, right time would have helped a bunch.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line, Jimmy. What do you think about this? Heard this on the post-game show and absolutely agree. We looked incredibly small, especially on the defensive line and offensive line.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I noticed it that much on the offensive line, but it did feel that way defensive line-wise.
Okay. Let's see here. Somebody responds to the clock management deal. They say, in that situation, you have to score, so you do whatever it takes to score and not worry about the clock.
I think there's some truth to that, but at the same time, you want to factor in both, right?
Yeah, to a degree. But I think Coach McGuire kind of alluded to this a little bit yesterday. He said, when you get into one of these games like this, like you had, basically you've got to figure out how to win the ball game. It's not like you can. Like you're going into it thinking one thing and then it turns out to be another. Well, you find yourself in the middle of a game. You got to make sure you have your best people in there at any given time and do what you need to do. So that kind of alludes back to the scoring thing. Let's see this from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Seems to me that while the crowd mostly stayed through the whole game, the student section was there down to my left, which is. I was looking around back behind me on the east side and even on the west side. It looked like people stayed for the most part for the entire game. Hell, you had a ball game going on. Unfortunately,
student sections to your left.
Down into my there is a student section down into my left. That's on this. That would be on the south end of the. But like usually has, and then the student section that was in the south end zone has now moved to over by the east. On the east side, on the northeast side, by where that tunnel is, where the band is. So there's a student section there, and then there's, I think, student section that sits on the fake grass now by the concrete double T. But the largest part of the student section is down to my left. That whole section there, from about the 40-yard line to the goal line in the lower level is, and below me is students too, to a certain degree. But to my left, certainly, which was interesting to me because Coach McGuire said, yesterday that they chose to go to the north end because of the band and the student section. I'll be honest with you, it was hard to hear the band because of where they are now and where our seats are. We're on the east side, so the band is now playing to our north and then playing towards the west, as opposed to playing out of the south. So it was really hard to hear the band. But I thought the new sound system, they talked about how loud it was going to be. I thought it was just much clearer. And I thought it was really good. I thought the whole game atmosphere was really good. I enjoyed the new video board on the north end and the expansion of it. And I'll tell you something that's really, you're going to think, oh, that's kind of odd that stands out to you. But I thought it was really cool. So on the scoreboard now, in script is what happened on the play. It'll say, Brooks, 5 yards, tackled by so-and-so. So I don't know if that's coming off of what the PA announcer says or if somebody's typing that in, but it's in script that's large enough that you can see it, because sometimes it's hard to see exactly who made the tackle or what exactly happened. But I thought that was really cool.
That's nice.
Yeah, I thought that was very nice. I really enjoyed that. This person says, seems to me that while the crowd stayed through the whole game, there was somewhat of an engagement problem. The loudspeakers are going nearly nonstop to the point that they are even playing over the band most times. I don't think there was a Raider power cheer after the opening kickoff. Well, there wasn't really much to cheer about on that. Maybe I'm old, but we need to hear the band and get the crowd involved in the game more. We need bass thumping music cranked to 11. Makes the Jones the hardest place to play in America if it's just really about turning up the volume.
Jamie thinks they blew a speaker.
So we were having a conversation in the press box, and this is 1,000% about me being old and listening to certain type of music and the bass being so low. To me, sounds like blown speakers. And so I was jokingly, fully well knowing that it was not the case. But, Rob Bro and Clint were talking about, man, this sounds awesome. It sounds great.
I thought it sounded great.
And I was like, it sounds like did we blow a speaker? It's like thumping, like it's, something's reverbing. And so we were joking about that. Yeah, all the comments that I heard were that people love the sound system. So and I felt like that was one thing that kind of had, the people at Texas Tech were kind of saying, hey, we're really going to be excited about the new sound system. And so I was glad to hear that people were.
Yeah, I could clearly understand things, which there have been times. I mean, it's hard when you put 60,000 people in something. It's hard with how things are reverberating off of things or people or stuff like that. But I could hear everything nice and clear and loud. Somebody says it is closed captioning for the PA announcer. Super nice. I think it's super nice. I agree.
It's probably something that they have to put in there for the hearing impaired.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if it's hearing impaired or if it's impaired or if it's for people that have a hard time paying attention like me and go, hey, what just happened there? And you can look up at the scoreboard and it tells you right there.
That guy. He wanted that guy.
What are we doing? I think I was too numb to even stand up and say that on Saturday. What are we doing? I think I just kept saying, we can't stop them.
Somebody on
can't stop them.
Chat line is criticizing the drone show and saying that it didn't last very long. You do understand that they had to get back to the game, right? We don't just get to have a drone show for 20 minutes in between quarters.
I thought the drone show I thought it was great.
I did too. You do understand that they have to get back and kick off or get the fourth quarter started, right?
Yeah, it's between the third and fourth quarter. I want to say something there, but I'm not. Don't be stupid.
He showed up to a drone show at a football game.
Yeah.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet973.com.